Thank you. My name is Ed Davies. I'm the president of the Jakarta Foreign Correspondents Club and a journalist at Reuters. Welcome everyone to today's talk on Indonesia's vaccination program, which certainly comes at a critical time given how COVID-19 cases have exploded or re-emerged in force in many countries, and with particular concerns over variations and how Indonesia will emerge from the post-Eid travel period. So I'd like to introduce our main speaker today, Deputy Health Minister Dante Saxono Habuwono. Let me give you some background on the Deputy Minister. He was born in Temanggung in Central Java and went on to study medicine at the University of Indonesia before going on to get a doctorate in philosophy at the University of Yamanashi in Japan. He went on to take up roles including as a member of the Presidential Expert Panel of Doctors and senior posts related to diabetes, metabolic disorders, cardiovascular and aging before becoming Deputy Minister in 2020. So before the Minister speaks, I'd like to hand over to Ibu Mira Taiba, who's the Secretary General of the Ministry of Communication and Informatics and Acting Director General of Communications and Public Information. Her ministry is involved in communication for government programs such as the vaccination program. So I'd like to hand over to Ibu Mira.
Thank you, Pak Ed. Let me speak in Bahasa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Yang kami hormati Wakil Menteri Kesehatan Republik Indonesia, Bapak Dr. Dante Saxono Habuwono. Selamat siang, Pak Wamen. Juga yang kami hormati Pak Edward Davies dan Ibu Ismi Damayanti, serta rekan-rekan jurnalis media internasional yang tergabung dalam Jakarta Foreign Correspondents Club. Terima kasih atas perkenan Bapak Ibu memenuhi undangan kami siang ini. Pertemuan ini digagas untuk mendukung pemerintah Indonesia dalam menyukseskan penanganan pandemi COVID-19. Kami sangat menyadari bahwa pemerintah tidak dapat bekerja sendiri, dukungan masyarakat menjadi suatu kunci, dan bahkan media adalah mitra strategis dalam kehidupan sosial masyarakat. Bersama ini, perkenankan saya menyampaikan 4 hal umum. Yang pertama adalah COVID-19 kondisi di Indonesia secara umum. Kemudian kami juga akan menjelaskan sedikit mengenai hoax, peran jurnalis yang kami harapkan juga mengenai vaksin gotong royong. Bapak Ibu, kondisi COVID-19 di Indonesia saat ini jika dilihat melalui salah satu indikator, yaitu grafik kasus aktif nasional, sudah mulai membaik, di mana grafik kasus aktif tersebut sudah mulai melandai. Hal ini tentunya tidak terlepas dari pelaksanaan vaksinasi COVID-19 yang saat ini sudah mencapai lebih dari 14,89 juta orang yang divaksinasi dosis pertama, dan setidaknya 9,87 juta orang yang telah selesai vaksinasi hingga dosis kedua. Kita juga sudah menerima vaksin dengan rincian 73.500.000 dalam bentuk bulk vaksin dan 10.410.500 dosis vaksin jadi. Terkait dengan hoax, Bapak Ibu, kami ingin menggambarkan bahwa dunia tidak hanya berupaya keras menangani pandemi COVID-19, tapi juga menangani infodemi. Infodemi semakin marak terjadi di tengah-tengah ruang informasi publik, menyebar dengan sangat mudah dan sangat cepat, terutama di media digital. Secara spesifik, hingga pagi ini, kami, Kementerian Kominfo, telah mencatat dan melabeli sebanyak 1.608 hoax terkait COVID-19, di mana 195 diantaranya terkait dengan vaksin COVID-19. Untuk itu, pemerintah terus menghimbau masyarakat agar selalu merujuk pada sumber informasi yang akurat dan dapat dipercaya, baik dari badan dunia seperti WHO, pemerintah, dalam hal ini Kementerian Kesehatan dan Kementerian lembaga terkait, ataupun para ahli di bidangnya. Dengan melihat kondisi ini, kami mengharapkan jurnalis sebagai garda terdepan informasi yang mengisi ruang publik memainkan perannya yang penting ini dalam menyukseskan penanganan COVID-19 dan penyelenggaraan vaksinasi. Hal ini tentunya tidak terlepas dari bagaimana informasi terkait penanganan COVID-19 dan vaksinasi perlu terus digaungkan secara konsisten dengan substansi yang aktual. Oleh karena itu, jurnalis perlu terus mendapatkan akses informasi yang valid dari sumber informasi yang kredibel, seperti yang kita selenggarakan pada hari ini. Sebagai global pandemic, untuk dapat mengentaskan pandemi COVID-19 ini, perlu diutamakan upaya-upaya skala global yang tidak lagi menitik beratkan pada pendekatan yang syarat dengan sekat-sekat kenegaraan. Karena jika pandemi COVID-19 hanya dapat ditangani oleh beberapa negara saja, keselamatan warga dunia secara keseluruhan akan tetap terus terpapar oleh risiko di mana pandemi COVID-19 ini dapat menjadi semakin berkepanjangan. Untuk itu, peran jurnalis termasuk dari media internasional menjadi semakin penting untuk dapat bersama-sama menyampaikan pesan pada warga dunia bahwa kita semua perlu saling membantu dalam menangani pandemi COVID-19 ini. Salah satunya adalah dengan memastikan upaya vaksinasi COVID-19 dapat berjalan lancar, aman, dan efektif di seluruh dunia. Adapun terkait dengan vaksin gotong royong, ini merupakan skema program vaksinasi di mana pengusaha dan komunitas swasta bekerja sama untuk menyukseskan program vaksinasi pemerintah. Vaksin gotong royong merupakan bentuk peran aktif semua pihak untuk menjalankan perannya masing-masing dalam mendukung dan mempercepat proses vaksinasi COVID-19. Pengusaha di Indonesia berinisiatif untuk mendukung pemerintah Indonesia dengan memberikan vaksin gratis kepada karyawan atau buruhnya dalam upaya mempercepat pencapaian kekebalan komunal sehingga produktivitas karyawan bisa meningkat. Program vaksinasi gotong royong sendiri diberikan kepada karyawan, karyawati, atau keluarga dan individu, di mana pembiayaannya dibebankan kepada badan usaha. Penerima vaksinasi gotong royong, end user, dengan skema ini tetap tidak akan dipungut biaya atau gratis, sama dengan penerima vaksin program pemerintah yang tidak dikenakan biaya apapun. Dengan perusahaan memberikan vaksin secara gratis kepada seluruh karyawannya, diharapkan para karyawan dapat semakin terlindungi dari penyebaran COVID, sehingga kawasan produksi, industri, pabrik, dan perusahaan akan dapat bekerja lebih produktif. Perpaduan pelaksanaan secara paralel antara program vaksinasi pemerintah dan vaksinasi gotong royong diharapkan dapat mempercepat terbentuknya kekebalan komunal di Indonesia. Demikian Bapak Ibu pengantar dari saya. Terakhir saya mengajak semua pihak untuk menjaga soliditas kita bersama, mengoptimalkan ikhtiar kita bersama. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for that opening, Ibu Mira. So I'd like now to hand over to the Deputy Minister for some remarks, and do remember that you can put questions into the chat, and Ismi will help handle the question and answer session after the Deputy Minister has spoken. So let me hand over to you, Deputy Minister.
Okay, good to see you, everybody. Ibu Mira, Secretary General of Ministry Communication and Informatics, and Albert Davis, GGF CC President, and of course, all the media and colleagues. It's a great honor for me to attend this discussion because data transparency is an important strategy to gain public trust and public participation in controlling the pandemic. Today, I'll share some update on our COVID-19 situation and vaccination programs. I'm sure some of you might already know since our progress has been routinely updated on our website, the www.kemkes.go.id website. As yesterday, we saw a slight increase the daily confirmed cases. The latest day moving average data saw at 38% increase between this last week to around 5,200 cases per day. Both of death and specimen tested are also increased, with the latest positivity rate of 10.08%. If we look our hospital, there are also been a slight increase in isolation and intensive bed occupation. More isolation beds are occupied rather than the intensive bed. Friends from media, this chart data collected from Google Community Mobile tracked people mobility at grocery, retail, park, and transit. If we look some previous long holiday, such as in the first Hijriah, Maulid, Nabi, and New Year Eve holiday, there have been significant peak of people mobility. Within 6 till 7 weeks after the peak, the cases rose consistently to the peak. This data strongly correlated with the current increasing cases. It is estimated that we will reach peak in the middle of June, next June maybe. Moving on the following chart, we will show you the proportion of variant of concern in Indonesia. Today, we have identified 54 cases with either B117, B1351, and B1617 mutant strains. 35 of these cases had a history international travel, while others had none. It means internal confirmations traveling. We want to highlight the Hilma Burger vessel docked at Cilacap, Central Java, from India. Among 20 Filipino crew members, 14 were tested positive. 13 of them had B1617 mutant. Of the 31 health workers who treated the crew member, all of them were tested positive. The spread of the new mutant is concerning. When we traced feeders, many health workers and non-health workers were also contracted them. We also tested positive. Thus, we need more vigilance and give people high mobility present and the mutant strain. And the first friends from media, now we are moving the vaccination strategy and supply update according to WHO X accelerator for COVID-19. We base our approach for 4 pillars: diagnosis, therapy, health system reform, and vaccination. Even though people are putting hope on the vaccine, we state from the very beginning that vaccination is not silver bullet. In the Ministry of Health will ensure readiness and distribution of vaccine and logistics. We also try to accelerate the jabs through partnership and vaccination site. Meanwhile, we are also giving our best improve the diagnosis, therapy, health system pillar through several strategies. To achieve Indonesian herd immunity, with 70% of the population are vaccinated, 181.5 million people must be vaccinated. With the limited supply, we are passing target vaccination according to the risk of the infection than death. Thus, we initiated vaccination health worker elderly, and public officer. We hope that starting in the latest measure of mid of June, we can vaccinate the high-risk population who live at a high risk in community transmission. In the following 3 slides, we show you the data of the elderly infected with COVID-19. In the realistic accurate that elderly are higher risk of for severe illness and death. On your screen, it shows that CVR, case fatality rate in the elderly group is higher than national case fatality rate. The elderly contributed of 12% of national cases, but the death among the elderly contributed to 5 to 50% of national data. And deeper into hospital data, elderly fatality rate is three times higher than non-elderly group. Thus, we must accelerate our vaccination program and focus vaccinating the elderly group. Today, 14.5 million Indonesians have been vaccinated. Although the vaccination pace slightly fluctuated, we could reach 500,000 jabs per day. Now we are on the way the double rate. We are optimistic the rate of 1 million jabs per day. In Jakarta and Bali has started to move forward to phase 3 and start the vaccination in the high-risk population. Subject vaccines availability, Indonesia set the target to finish COVID-19 vaccination program by March 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, these are 5 strategies to accelerate the current COVID-19 program. First is reduce the vaccination progress for 4 to 2 tables and start gotong royong vaccination at 18 May 2021 and initiate the phase of 3rd vaccination. Expand the age group priority to 50 years and above. Ask the police and army and other elements to support the problem. These 5 strategies have been included the latest technical document and distributed. I hope all this information is sufficient for the media friends, and let's open the discussion for us. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pak Wamen, for the information and updated progress for the COVID-19 management, as well as the important rollout of the vaccination. So we are already opening the chat for the question. We already have one from Wahyudi Straits Times, and if anyone would like to ask directly by speaking, so please do raise your hand. So I will read the first question from Wahyudi, our colleague in Straits Times, Pak. It's related to the opening of the economy. So people are returning from their hometown after mudik, Pak. With an addition of the new variants, Indonesia so far, as you have explained, keep everything manageable. What is the key so far, Pak? And when do you expect the case will peak? Because previously we noticed from the peak after New Year and Christmas, it was sometimes around February. When do you expect the peak of the case rise will happen after this Lebaran holiday? Okay, so if you can respond to that question, Pak Wamen, thank you.
Yes, we evaluate and analyze the mobility of people, and we have the data of the mobility of people. And regarding the data, after the mobility in people, especially in holiday, that we already have in maybe New Year Eve holiday, the peak will be 6 to 7 weeks after that. And regarding of our analysis, we have the start point of the increasing of case will be start on this weekend, on this week. It means the peak will be maybe the middle of June. And the middle of June, the peak will be happen. Of course, we anticipated to have at least at possible that peak. That peak will be as possible if we use the prokes. We use the 3M strategy and 3T strategy and try to evaluate and more testing or that people will come back from the mudik era. So again, our analysis calculate the peak will be happen at the middle of June.
Okay, so we shall have something to anticipate
Yes,
by around 2 or 3 weeks ahead, ya Pak.
Yeah.
Anyone else? So please submit your question through chat or please raise your hand if you would like to ask directly. As for myself, if I may, Pak, I saw interesting part from your presentation, but that Bali has reached very significant progress on the vaccination. Is it related to what the government is preparing regarding work from Bali for ASN or civil servants? Is that related, Pak, or it has always been the priority that Bali should be always in priority? Thank you.
Yes. Regarding the condition in Bali, Bali is the most influenced place that affected with this COVID pandemic. The contracted of the economic burdens in this pandemic in Bali is the highest in Indonesia. They already have reached about minus 9.3 contracted of economy. It's because of the population in Bali is 4.3 million people. And the tourism every year in Bali is 19 million people. It's mean the tourism area is important in Bali. Because of this problem in this pandemic era, the Bali have this economic problem. And the people in Bali feeling this pandemic and then they aware something should be done. Something should be doing if they don't want to make this pandemic will be prolonged. So when we make vaccination in Bali, they are very, very accepted. So that way, the Bali population is very good accepted in and have a good compliance when we make the vaccination programs. That's why you see Bali is one of the most compliance people in this area, in Indonesian area, that accepted the vaccination program.
Okay. So glad to hear, Pak. Thank you very much. And another, before we get into Wahyudi with direct question, I have a colleague from Marriott International, Marcia Rumlaklak, who have, as we know, CDC already issued the recommendation that fully vaccinated people can remove their masks altogether. Is this something that is possible for Indonesian, and what is the ministry stance for such policy? Thank you, Pak.
We will remove our mask if we already have the herd immunity. The herd immunity will be reached if after we already get vaccinated from our 70% of community people. So since now we already reached about 12%, 14% of people. So it's mean most people in Indonesia are not have not been vaccinated. So that way they still have a possibility to make some transfers for the COVID-19 for other people. If we already reached the 70% of population, that is the time that we can remove our mask from our social activity in a day. That's my question. That's my answer.
Okay, if I may add, when can you expect the herd immunity can be reached, Pak? If the full vaccination of 181 million would be around by this late of this year, sorry, can we expect sometimes around September, November that we can actually reach herd immunity?
There are some problem to this vaccination programs. It's one of the supply of the vaccine. It's one of the most problem we cannot handle is very properly. It's because all people, all nation in the world need the vaccines, and they try to get the vaccine in everywhere. So Indonesia have opportunity to get vaccine from G2G, B2B, and multilateral supply. Regarding this situation, the vaccination program will be reached maybe in the end of August is around 70 million people. We hope if the supply is good, we can get 70 billion people with already in the end of the August. But the 70% of population that we call as 181.5% 5 million people, maybe we can reach in the middle of March, on the end of March next year.
Okay.
But we try our best to get as soon as possible.
Yes, we hope so, Pak. Thank you. I will let Wahyudi to ask directly, please.
Thank you, Pak Wamen. A number of questions. Since you mentioned Bali, I start with Bali. Can we accurately say that Bali is the most widely vaccinated province? And if you would mention if any other provinces that are also well vaccinated, that's number one. Number two question is about the expected peak in middle of June. Can you talk about how bad it would be? We're talking about active cases. Right now, Indonesia has about 87,000 active cases. During the peak in February, we had about 175,000. So in middle of June, is it fair to say we would probably reach the middle point between now and February, the peak 175? And my number three questions, Pak Wamen, also, Economist publication reported saying that the number of death toll worldwide is underreported. They say the 3 million official figure is underreported by at least half. So the real figure would be around 6 to 7 million. Can we also talk about how underreported Indonesia is in terms of number of cases, confirmed cases, and in terms of death toll? We now have around 50,000 death tolls. And last question, sorry, Pak Wamen, last question would be how are we anticipating the peak in middle of June this week? What measures are we taking? We understand that, the bed occupancy ratio we see so far has only picked up very insignificantly, despite people returning from hometowns, and also despite new variants arrival from India and UK, and also all these key things which we thought could have risen the cases higher. So if you can talk about this, is this because of our vaccine program that started early enough? Thank you, Pak Wamen.
Thank you. Yes, Bali is a good sample of Indonesian that already vaccinated well. But another province that also have a good vaccination program is Jakarta. Jakarta is also have a good vaccination program because of in Jakarta as a good facilitated. The distance is not very problem in Jakarta, And another province is Yogyakarta. Yogyakarta is already reached also not too bad, and also Jawa Timur, and another is Kepulauan Riau. This is the 5 provinces a good get the vaccination result in this in Indonesian area. So not only Bali, but some provinces also have a good achievement to get the vaccination. And for the second question, how bad the condition in the middle of the June? We have some modeling evaluation and our analysis actually how bad it will be happen in the middle of June, and our calculation try to try to make, because it's important to prepare everything, prepare the hospitalized, prepare the medication, prepare of everything that maybe still happen, and also prepare the political consequence, like the try to make the people not to moving very fast. So as our analysis, maybe we will have at least 50% increasing of case that will happen since now. It's mean if you have 5,000 about new cases in today, maybe we will have 7,000 until 8,000 cases in the middle of June. But we will see. We'll try to anticipate for this condition to make PPKM Mikro. PPKM Mikro is one program to anticipate the spreading of the people and not spreading it too much. And we also try to make the program of tracing as good as well as we can. Tracing is try to evaluate the people who doesn't have symptoms but have a close contact with people with confirmed COVID-19, and try to identify people with least symptom of this disease. It will make economical evaluate to make the economical more cheaper, because we can start as soon as possible, and the people just only can live at home, not in the bad condition, and should be go to the hospital hospitalization. And that is also answer number 5 and number 4 question. And I'm not clear about the third question. Can you repeat that?
Wahyujer still around? Or is that?
Yeah, okay. Someone just unmuted me. Yes, the question is about the report from Economist magazine saying that the official figures reported by countries worldwide have been understated.
Okay.
For example, the death toll that is reported is around 3.2 million. The real figure could have been 6 to 7 million people. So how about Indonesia? How underreported Indonesia is, Pak Menteri?
Yes, of course, the underreported and the real world is happen, because some people doesn't have a symptom of this disease. That underreported maybe coming with after they have a symptoms, and they have already have transmitted this confirmation before they have a confirmation. But as far as we evaluate, we have pooling data, the official pooling data that we should confirm, and we can say that pooling data is very important. In the start of our presentation, I already mentioned that the transparency is very important. because without the transparency, we can move the wrong way to go. So we try to make the transparency as far as we can make it, and try to evaluate this transparency as with the good data. That regarding the good data, we try to make a policy decision to make that the pandemic will be go in the right track to evaluate and to treatment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Wamen. Next, we have our colleague from Australian Financial Review with Emma Connors. So please, you may ask yourself.
Terima kasih, Pak. Thank you for the very interesting presentation. I have two questions. Will the expected, or could the expected peak in cases in mid-June affect plans to reopen Bali for international tourists? And second question, you mentioned vaccination for foreigners. Can you give us some detail? Will they be included in the free vaccination program, or will they have to pay? Thank you.
Yes, even we will have the peak of this pandemic in this session will be mid of June. Maybe they will be, after that they will be flat again on, hopefully will be decrease of the case. And the program of the Bali Reborn will be start in July. Hopefully the pandemic is not the same saturated in all places in Indonesia. The saturated is on the place that we evaluated with the bed anticipate with the vaccination achievement, right? Like in Sumatra area. The Sumatra area is already start now, and the case is already increased there. But in Bali, still flat, but in Bali they decreased the cases. So we also happy because we are in archipelago profile nation. By archipelago profile nation, we have the bubble of islands that separated each other. So that's why the transmitted of people with some island can be controlled. Yesterday, I have meeting with the presidents, and the president asked us to strict the transmitted of people from Sumatra to Java. It will make the transmitted of people from this area that already increased the case will be inhibited in the case in Java. Also in Bali, for example. We can make the bubble and isolate some island to make the cases, if not, will be increased in all island in Indonesia. But of course, something will be happen, not in our in our preparation. But hopefully we can open Bali in the middle of July as we planned several times ago. And for the vaccination for foreign people, we already start from the people working in the international facility and working as a diplomat and etc. But after that, we have to also the vaccinate that we program we call as vaccination, gotong royong vaccination. Gotong royong vaccination, you can if you want of the part of employer in one in one of fabrications, one of institution, you can ask your institution to ask to get the vaccination. And of course, there's is need to paying some case, but I'm not sure how much it would be actually.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Wamen. Emma, I hope it's sufficient for your questions. So next we have our colleague in C4, is my hometown in Bogor, I believe, with Kathy Kustiawati asks, when will Indonesian government have planned to vaccinate university students? The target for our Indonesian will be by next year, ya Pak. But how about the university students, which might be included to the general public group, I think?
Yes, we have some, because of the facility of this vaccine supply is very limited. We try to make priority. The first priority is for the healthy workers. And then after that is for elderly and public services. After that, this is the first stage and the second stage. After that, we will start the people in the risk area for general population. Maybe student or for in university can involve in this time. It will be happen in the mid of June. In the mid of June, you can ask and you can start the vaccination for this specific population, including the student of university. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Pak. We have another question from chat before we get into Ismira from Arab News. We have Ahmad Fauzan from April Group. With the combination of mudik with the I believe it's the arus balik or the returning people from mudik, as well as the rise of the COVID mutants, is full lockdown still being considered? As we know, Malaysia could not go full lockdown because of the fiscal pressure. Is this also the case of Indonesia, that full lockdown isn't impossible? Maybe you can give a little bit more emphasis on how PPKM Mikro is still the alternative for now. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, we can should be calculated. Not health is very important. The causes of this of the burden is because of the health problem. If we can treat it, the health problem, it can be solved the health problem in this pandemic. We can also break the economic problem. If we make it two part this suddenly together, we can lose many things. We have people with lost the problem of this pandemic and lose their job is very so many. We have so many people lost the job because of this problem, because of the pandemic. So the contractors of economic will happen in our country. The full lockdown, as some countries needed some facility that we should prepare. We should prepare the grocery, we should prepare the food, we should prepare the medication, we should prepare the many things. So that's why we use the term of lockdown is not fully lockdown, but we use PPKM Mikro. PPKM Mikro is small lockdown in small area. If you have 5 people of 5 houses with a positive confirmation of COVID-19 in one RT, RT is a small organization in our public area, you should lock down that RT as soon as possible. If you have 15 people of 15 hosts in this area, you should lock down the airway. The highest level of society area of society host is in that place. So we will use micro lockdown that we call as PPKM. It will be make the economic will start going, the moving of people will still unspated, and we can still have a good solution for our healthy problem. Not only that, we also make tracing. The tracing is very important, and the time of lockdown, that micro lockdown, that because of tracing will be answer the people that doesn't have symptom but already have infected. So that way we use a strategy to make the micro lockdown, and we choose that prefer to make the micro lockdown plus tracing as the answer this burden condition.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak. Now we have Ismira from Arab News would like to ask directly, so please.
Good afternoon, Pak Wamen.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I would like to ask about a clause in Health Ministry regulation on the technical guidance on vaccination on COVID-19. There's a clause there about vaksin gotong royong. So we know that vaksin gotong royong, they should use the different brands than the ones used in the government program. But there's a certain condition there written in the regulation in an article about vaksin gotong royong. Can I just ask? Can I just read it in Bahasa Indonesia just to make sure that it's correct? It says there that dalam kondisi tertentu untuk memenuhi kebutuhan pelaksanaan vaksinasi COVID-19, jenis vaksin COVID-19 yang digunakan untuk vaksin gotong royong dapat sama dengan jenis vaksin COVID yang digunakan untuk melaksanakan vaksin program pemerintah. Kondisi tertentu tersebut berlaku bagi jenis vaksin untuk pelaksanaan vaksinasi program yang diperoleh dari hibah, sumbangan, atau pemberian baik dari masyarakat maupun negara lain. So, does that mean that in case vaksin gotong royong doesn't have enough vaccines on their own, they can use in certain condition vaccines from the national program, obtained from grants, contribution, or other channels from communities or other countries? Thank you, Pak.
Yes, the most important to highlight is for regular vaccination program is the most important program that our priority. The platform of our regular vaccination program that we already stated and we choose. There are some platform that we'll use in the regular vaccination program, but the statement of that you read it is not confirmed yet. We still spirited the platform of vaksin gotong royong that they use and the vaccination of program that we use. The vaccination program that we use Sinovac, we use Novavax, we use Pfizer, and also AstraZeneca. This is the 4 platform that we use in our regular vaccination program. And vaksin gotong royong can use another vaccination platform, not that our vaccine program. So maybe this is they make the jumping conclusion, or they make the statement. That statement I'm not agree that the statement, because we evaluated the most important of the vaccination policy is the regular vaccination program. So I will guarantee to you the vaccination gotong royong is not mixed with the vaccination program.
Terima kasih, Pak.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Wamen. We have another one from the chat from our colleague Michelle Nordemir in the group. Will the vaccine become available in private clinics, Pak? Will it be possible for a general public later on to just walk in to the clinics and ask for COVID vaccine? Thank you.
Yeah, we think the vaccination is the government responsibility, and we try to make the vaccination is free for all people in Indonesia. Even you have a vaccination of gotong royong, some who will pay of vaccination gotong royong is not the individual payment, but the company payment. and the vaccination gotong royong after paid by company, they will give to you by free. So using vaccination in private clinic is very dangerous because the vaccination that will mimic as our political will is vaccination for free for all Indonesian people or for all people in Indonesia. So that's why we try to make it's not possible to use vaccination in private clinic.
Very interesting. Thank you very much, Pa. And we have arrived in the last question from Stanley from Reuters. So please, I will unmute you. Okay.
Hey, selamat siang, Pak Dante. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. I got a couple of questions. You said earlier that Bali is one of the most advanced among all the provinces with regards to vaccination. Can you tell us like what number of vaccination rate in Bali is as compared to the other provinces, and what the positivity rate in Bali, in all of Bali is? And lastly, the percentage of people in Sanur, Ubud, and Nusa Dua who are vaccinated, because if I'm not mistaken, those are the places that could go in the bubble, like the tourism bubble, if I'm not mistaken. Sanur, Nusa Dua, and Ubud, right? Yeah. Yeah, so it's a percentage of vaccination in those areas and the positivity rate in Bali as well, and the vaccination rate in Bali. Secondly, do we have anything lined up with regards to vaccine passport, Pak Dante? Do we have like incoming deals with several countries? Because it has been talked about besides sort of like Hong Kong and Singapore. Do we have like similar things in the works for in the future? Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Pat.
Yes, Bali has already achieved some good achievement from some states in our priority state. For example, I will show you that Bali have already make 100% of people with elderly people. And we also make the Bali priority in the in our area. You can see in this slide, Bali get 40% or 30 people per 100,000 people have received in the first doses. It's very nice to go. It's a very good for first step of Bali. So that Bali is very good sample to get the vaccination. In some area that already make this you are correct in Ubud, Sanur, and Badung area, because that they believe if they can make that vaccination in this area possible, in the possibility for tourism will be happen in the near future. It's talking about the vaccination passport. We believe vaccination is not a silver bullet, because of some cases of people with vaccination, it still can have reinfected of COVID-19. Because vaccination have some limited, they have efficacy, that no vaccination have a good efficacy of 100% preventing of you to not infected with the COVID-19. So we will still strict with our regulation to make quarantine and isolation for the foreigners who come in Indonesia. But you can use some facilitated in Bali Reborn program. The isolation of quarantine you can make in some hotel that we already choose. You can still facilitate that hotel. You can still make some vacation in hotel when you make that isolation and quarantine in Bali. But I want to tell you and emphasize, since till now, we don't want to make the vaccination is a passport to come Indonesia, because quarantine and isolation is more important than rather than the paper of vaccination that you already get. It's not for the people that already vaccinated, but also for important the other people who contact to you when you coming in Indonesia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak. Hence our last question. Sorry, we are running out of time, and it's been very productive discussion with our friends, with the Ministry of Health. Thank you very much for your time, Pak. Maybe a little bit for the closing remarks, please.
Yes, I would like to thank and gratefully for this community, and also the Minister of Communication and Informatics to make this activity. Hopefully people in our of GSCC member will know properly what activity that we make in vaccination program, and you can tell the other people what we already make in Indonesia. Hopefully we hope we still have healthy in this pandemic, and hopefully we can break this pandemic as soon as possible. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much, Pak, for your cooperation as well to welcome GFCC with this very, very productive session. We are very thankful, and so many information as well as the remarks from Bu Mira earlier to help us tackle the hoax, the infodemics. This has been very precious session. So also thank you for all the participants. We are looking forward for our next collaboration and productive discussion. And we wish the government a very best of everything for the efforts of tackling this pandemic soon, so we can resume to be productive again and return to anything what the next normal will be. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.